Hello, everyone. Mark Graceberg here, your host for the Parenting Twins Conference. And here with me is our special featured guest, Malva Gasowski. She is a positive parenting coach. And you know what? We're going to be talking about how to foster that sibling cooperation versus rivalry. I am excited about this topic because I have toddler twins. Sometimes, or yeah, oftentimes they are in these moments that I just don't know how to deal with it. And I'm really glad to have Malva here. So Malva, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here.
It's such an honor having you here. So first off, let's start with you sharing your story. What is your personal story leading you to doing what it is that you're doing today?
I started many years ago. So I have been in education for over 20 years, and I have been in parent education for around a dozen years.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it started with me as a little girl, really. So I started when I was 4 or 5, taking care of other children. And I know it seems weird that a 5-year-old was taking care of other children, but that's exactly how I grew up. I grew up in a community where the parents had to go to work, and
Yeah,
I was the one that was responsible for taking care of the other kids, making sure that they are fed, that they are dressed, that they are organized.
yeah.
And so that label stayed with me, the one that loved children, the one that was able to connect with them. And being a child myself, I understood children quite well.
Mhm.
And being a strong personality and very observant child, I very often saw the way parents, with all goodwill, the way they treated their children wasn't the way that the children wanted to be treated, nor
Uh-huh.
was it the way that the children felt respected in the relationship of parent child. Therefore, that is where my passion for psychology, sociology came into play, and child development, because oftentimes children say or said, my parents don't understand me. And the parents say, what have I done wrong? Why can't I get my child to listen to me? So, having all of these things in my background, that is where I started using my education and my way of being greedy to get more and more degrees in order to learn parenting from, let's say, the very, very beginnings of child development, neuroscience, psychology, sociology, culture, how all of that plays into what we now call parenting. I also am one who has a background in pedagogy, which is the science of teaching. Therefore, the way parents learn and the way parents teach their kids is a totally different way of learning. So, adult learning processes are completely different from children learning processes, and yet we sometimes don't understand that. So, that is my background. That is why I have a great passion in helping parents connect with their children to make sure that the moments where they are together are moments that are treated as building blocks rather than gap creators.
Wow, I am fascinated with your story and your journey into doing what it is that you're doing today. Thank you for sharing that one. So let's talk about first the concept of positive parenting. This has been mainstream, and to be honest with you, if I didn't become a parent, I probably this is not on my radar. But right now, now that I'm a parent, I feel like wow, all I can see, or most of the things I can see online, or that draws my attention, is passive parenting. So talk us about this approach, especially for parents who are watching right now who are not aware they've been doing this, but or those who haven't heard about it.
Yeah. Well, positive parenting is try to find the positive in your parenting journey. It's
Mm,
about being a conscious parent. It's about a parent that tries to understand rather than judge and reprimand. It's
mm,
a parent that tries to discipline rather than punish. By discipline, I mean teach.
mm,
Find these ways that or these moments where things aren't going well,
mm,
not only for your child, but for yourself as well. So,
mm,
positive parenting means showing your whole family, not only your children, but your whole family, your partner, yourself, that it's okay to make mistakes. Let's learn as we go along, and let's try to find the good in everything. But I'm not talking about, put on a pink pair of glasses and make sure that everything is in beautiful colors. No, there are hardships. But when I say find the positive in everything, that means try to use all of the failures or downfalls of your own parenting or your children's behavior and try to build on that to get as much positivity from the situation as possible.
I love how you put it, that it is really about finding that positive aspect of it, and it's not about punishment but discipline. And I couldn't agree more about that one. And it's interesting because today, I mean, not just today, but since my twins are toddlers, their favorite word is no. And yeah, and I have struggled with, getting them from one activity, transitioning from one activity to the other without them throwing into tantrums. And to be honest, there are moments when I just feel like, whew, I want to hug. It is hard. It is really hard. But if we understand this concept of positive parenting or conscious parenting, it's all about that connecting with them first. And it dawned on me that, wow, it's really about a change in perspective as a parent. We probably are not aware of this, but I mean, sometimes there are a lot of factors that contributed us to wanting to just blow up with, rather than going through this process of connecting to them first and not snapping at them or like that. So what I would love for us to cover now is to, maybe you can share with us some tips or techniques, or what is the process that you use or that you do with yourself, with your children and your clients on how to foster the sibling cooperation versus rivalry. I think this is really an important aspect, and probably a lot of parents are challenged, myself included, in this one. And as I see my twins growing, of course, as a parent, we want them to cooperate with each other and not look at themselves as rivals or competitors, and to be able to help each other. But I believe that it really starts with us parents. So my goal in here is for you to help us parents on how we can help our children to foster this cooperation. Because if we are happy as parents, they are happy as children too. And that's my mantra. So take it away.
Well, you touched upon very many topics that we can actually talk for hours and hours on, how to make sure that the transition from one activity to the next with twins or singletons or even triplets be as easy as possible. But you also said, that we as parents sometimes feel overwhelmed that whatever we're doing, it seems like nothing is going right. Yeah. And that too is something that we can talk about for an extended period of time. When it comes to sibling rivalry, one of the most important things that we as parents have to understand, sometimes we are the ones that are to blame. Okay. And I know that to blame is a very strong phrase, but if we kind of listen to the words that we speak about ourselves, about our partner, about our house, about our children, to our children, or even not to our children hear. They've got big Dumbo ears, okay? And it's almost a radar. The moment you as mom lower your voice because in a whisper you want to say something to your partner, that is where their radar ears grow bigger and bigger, and they will listen to everything what you're saying. But the moment you say clean your room, that's when the Dumbo ears become very tiny. They don't listen then. So it is a funny situation when it comes to the two children. Yeah. So what do I mean when I say that it is our fault and we are sometimes to blame? If you as a mom or as a dad ever compared yourself to someone else, so Parents, moms, for example, like, oh my goodness, that woman has an amazing bag. I don't have one like that. Or I really like this person's body. She is beach ready. Me, not so much. Or look at this color. I really would like to have that lipstick. Oh, well, I don't have it. So whenever we are speaking about situation where we compare ourselves to something or someone else, and we do not come up triumphant in that comparison, this is where our self-esteem gets a hit, if we want to admit it or not. And when it comes to the men, well, sometimes, well, how come my friend can go out for a beer and I can't because I have to stay at home? Or, this person has a better car than I do. Or I wish I could, drive that car because it goes 3 seconds to 100. Whatever the situation is, and however you're comparing yourself, again, we see always the things that other people have that are better that we don't already have. So again, in that comparison, we don't come up triumphant. So we are to blame because our children hear that. So whenever you as a mom turn to one, let's say twin A, and say, oh my goodness, sweetheart, you built this Lego structure very well. The other child hears, and I didn't. Okay. So quite often when we try to say something positive about one child, we don't take into account that the other child has radar ears and already very quickly processes these words, positive words, as a comparison, and they don't come out triumphant in that situation. So my first advice to the parents is, whenever you're saying something positive about one child, so twin A, turn around to twin B and say something positive, even something completely different to twin B. So for example, I have twin A and B playing in their room, and one is playing with Play-Doh and the other one is playing with Lego. I turn to one and say, oh my goodness, did you make that Play-Doh coffee cup all by yourself? Wow, I see that you worked really hard on it. Can I have a sip? And then you pretend to take a sip and you put that down. You say, oh, I'll continue. And then please turn your attention to twin B and say, wow, did you really build all those blocks by yourself? I can see the thought process of you building that castle. It looks amazing. Can I play with you for a sec? And in this situation, if you quite listen to the words that I said, I didn't say good job. I didn't say good girl or good boy. I praised the effort that they had put into creating it, the thought process, and not how pretty, how wonderful, good job, good girl. Because the way that they're playing has nothing to do with them being quote unquote good. And if you only praise and say, oh, what a perfect cup, and they're not happy with the visual aspect of the cup because they see it's not as perfect as a normal ceramic cup in the kitchen, they will think mom and dad are lying to me and it's not as perfect. It's not perfect. And they will get discouraged because they can't live up to the perfection. But if you say your creativity, or I see you worked hard, or I see that you tried to mix the colors, facts, if you place facts as some of the things that are most important in this communication, you will have a great chance that there won't be rivalry. That's number one. And number two, you won't have siblings that are de-stressed or have a situation of anxiety where they can't live up to your expectations. So these are the three things, to be honest, that we need to pay attention to. Number one, what words do we as parents speak about ourselves, our partner, and our house and our children? And then to make sure that when we do praise the effort, the thoughtfulness, and the work that our children had done in creating, drawing, reading, riding a bike, whatever the case shall be, make sure that we turn to the other twin and praise something else. And it shouldn't be, look, your sister built a castle. How about you? No, that is comparison. Or, look, your sister finished eating dinner. You haven't yet. No, that is comparison. Yes, these are facts, but saying that in let's say these two sentences as a one string of sentence, you're comparing and therefore creating this feeling of I'm not good enough, I might as well fight, because maybe if I fight, then I will win. And the question is, do you, mom and dad, want your children to fight? I believe so, that it's not the case.
No, no, absolutely not. Wow, I am guilty of this.
And it's
That's
not
why.
it's not to shame anyone. Everyone is guilty. Sometimes even I make the mistake and I have to bite my tongue, or I don't say it fast enough. And I have 3 children, by the way, so I understand being someone who has to juggle the parents' attention for the kids. So sometimes when I say to one child, "Wow, did you really do all of this coloring? And I really like the way you use the shading and whatnot," and the other child, even though I haven't finished speaking with the first one yet, will come up to me and say, "How about me, mama? How do you like me playing with mud and I'm all dirty?" And I can't say, "Well, you weren't really coloring, you're all dirty, you got a lot of laundry now that I have to take care of," and so on and so forth. No. Again, with all my will, I have to turn around and say, "All right, I see you were very creative with being outside." And things like that are a test sometimes for the parents. And it's fine that if we lose at times. So there are moments when if you find yourself that you don't like comparisons, you will have the possibility to eliminate that comparison with the vocabulary that your children use. For example, if one child comes to me and says, "Mommy, can I have electronics because I see my brother or sister having electronics?" I'm going to look at him and say, "Okay, no. I don't like comparing. I don't want you to compare either. If you want to ask me a question about yourself." So he'll say, "All right, can I please have some electronics?" So whatever the case situation is, at times it's yes, at times it's no. I'll say, "Yes, you may." And he or she, because I've got a mix of boys and girls, will know that please don't compare yourself with someone else. Don't compare yourself with daddy. Don't compare yourself with mommy. Don't compare yourself with your brother or sister, because you are perfect just the way you are. And if something is not working, you don't know how to draw, make a building block construction that you dreamt of, that's fine. Try again, but don't compare, because that is where the rivalry comes into play, and people want to be better than the other person. And if they can't and they're really struggling, those emotions build up. And the moment they build up, one of the releases is, "I will hit you, I will bite you, I will throw a Lego block at you because you know how to play Lego better than I do." So again, let's try to eliminate the cause rather than punish the effect.
Well, first of all, I like what you said about praising the effort, the one, and not because I'm guilty of saying, "Oh, good job, well done." I don't know. And you know what? It's really the words that we use are so powerful. The languaging is so powerful, and it doesn't take that much effort as parents. It's just the change of the wordings. It's just a change of perspective, and especially with twins and multiples. I love what you said about when you are praising the effort of the other, to also praise the other person. And I was thinking, wow, that totally makes sense. And something that are simple and it's not a common practice. And I think for us parents, it's like a wake up call for us, myself included, to practice this. Because it's simple, but if we don't put them into action, wow.
Yeah. And there's a comparison I like to use, and I know that some women might get angry when I say it right now, but let's imagine you as a woman are walking with your partner, whoever he or she may be, and you know that there's love between you. You know that your partner loves you, and you guys are building a fabulous together, and you're the best thing that could ever happen to that partner, and that partner is the best thing that could ever happen to you. So amazing relationship. But then your partner turns around and goes, "Oh my goodness, look at that other girl's dress." Trust me, that love right now in an instant turns into, "I'm going to scratch your eyes out, not to say the least. Don't you talk about another person." So that feeling of jealousy, of resentment, of, oh my goodness, how dare you? I thought you loved me, so on and so forth, is a very similar feeling your child, especially when it comes to multiples, will feel towards the other sibling, because you're my mommy. You should love me. Why aren't you showing your love to me? Although they know you love them, right now, the lack of praise and your concentration on the other child, although they know that they're brothers and sisters, they understand the concept of love, mommies and families, that we're together. They understand all of that. But that is that feeling that you had. You understand your partner loves you, but the moment he praised another woman, that's the moment you're going to say, oh my goodness, I'm going to blow up right now. And rationally, you know how to calm down. Well, your child is too little at most often, when they're still using physical abuse towards their other sibling that is around, let's say, up until around 10. That's where they think that this is the best way to solve their problems, when they're still hitting and throwing. So by the age of 10, they still don't have the rational brain developed. They don't have the possibility to say, well, of course, mommy's just talking to my brother and sister. She loves me. No, they can't. They can't do that. You as an adult can. Your children are too young to do that. Therefore, if you don't pay attention to both children, to one and to the other, praising them for different things and making sure that both of them are satisfied in their need for your love, then they won't have, I think I mixed that up. If you do praise them, then they won't have the need to fight for your love. And if you don't praise them equally for their effort, that is where they will start fighting or trying to prove to you that they're better than the other person.
Yeah, wow, that is genius. I love hearing
you.
from you. I feel like, wow, it really is. You really cemented the fact that it should be this way, rather than the highway, as they said. So, okay, so I'm imagining that these concepts are particularly valuable or helpful, especially in the younger years, let's say toddlers to preschool, and to the below 10 years old, because that's the time when it's important to establish this, just, let's say, boundaries or limitations, or this positive approach to them. So what about let's talk about the next age group, which is the teens, not twins, but the teenage. So let's say, okay, the ideal will be when you start applying this concept early on, because then they will naturally, grow up with it. Now, what if we didn't learn about this approach early on? We just learned it today, for example, and we have teenagers. I know that one of the biggest challenges that I have with my parenting twins community is this age. I know as a teenager, there's a lot of things going on in their body, in their social, emotional, intellect, areas of their lives. So for parents who are watching right now and they have teens, and they haven't learned this approach, and I think one of the biggest question I got is that they yearn that connection and having a conversation with their teens. It breaks my heart, and my twins are just toddlers, and I feel that I want, when they get to that, especially when they get to that age, I want them to be able to come with me, and I'm be able to talk to them, as adults. I want them to feel like they can come to me and talk to me about, or we can talk about anything under the sun. And I hear this a lot, and I feel like, wow, I want to be prepared for this, and I want to equip myself as a parent, because I don't want this to happen when my twins get to that age. So for parents who are struggling right now on how to connect with their teens, how to start that conversation going, how to apply this approach to them, because as parents, all we want is to be connected with our children. And sometimes, or more often, we just don't know what's the best way.
Right. So if you haven't heard or haven't done any work with your children if you have multiples and they're teens now, most likely they've already established quite negative pattern of behavior when it comes to their brother or sister. And you will hear sentences like, oh my God, does he or she have to always tag along? Or can you get out of my room? Or I don't want you to be here, or stop reading my stuff, stop touching my stuff, and so on and so forth. If you hear those sentences, most likely the competition has gone very long and very far when it comes to the teens. And your job right now as a parent is not to take both of your teens and put them on your lap and say, all right, mommy is going to read you a book right now. No, it's too late for that. But it's never too late to connect.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but do it individually. So try to treat them as, not my twins, but as John and Mary, or twin A or twin B, or triplet C, whatever the case may be. Because if you don't treat them individually, they will still feel the resentment of mom and dad don't understand that I'm me. I'm not a part of a twin set. I'm me. So during the teen years, it is natural and normal. And I want every parent of teens to understand it is natural and it is normal for your children to want to stay away from you. Okay. So don't take offense to that. Absolutely not, because these are the first steps that they're taking for something called individualization. And that means moving away from mom and dad to become an adult in both my ways of thinking and my approach and mentality to life. And it doesn't happen on the day of their 18th birthday. No, it doesn't. It's not one day they're still your babies and the next day they wake up and they're adults fully developed. It is a process that goes through the teenage years, the ones that are most difficult. So whenever parents say to me, I want to connect with my child, I always ask, what is your ideal relationship that you want? And if I hear from parents, well, I want my teenage son or daughter to come and sit with me and tell me all of her problems or his problems, and then confide in me and turn to me instead of their friends and ask me, then I'm going to say, no, that's not realistic. Because a person that is a peer for your teenagers is someone that is going to be of greater value than you as mom and dad. And that's natural, because those are his friends. You're just mom that is a know-it-all. You never listen to me and you always think you know best. If you are in that role, then connecting with you, mom and dad, is going to be difficult. However, if you just sit down on the sofa and say, hey, buddy, what's up? And that's it. Don't be the one that's interrogating. Don't be the one, well, tell me more. What did he say? What did she say? Or did you kiss him? Or did you hold her hand? If you don't ask so many questions, they'll be more keen on answering any other question or just freely talk to you about it. Very often when parents want to talk to teenagers, they want to make it so official. So come on, sit down at the table. They're sitting like almost like confrontational. So one at one end of the table and the other at the other. Let's talk. What do you want to talk about? I've got nothing to say. That will be your traditional response of a teenager. But just sit with them, watch TV with them. Try to see what they're doing when they're playing a game, or what book are you reading? Whatever the case may be present in their life. Okay, in little bits, and they will come to you when they need you, and give them some space. So if you sit next to a child and say, hi, what's going on? All is good. Okay, great to hear that. I hope it is all better. That is not where the conversation ends. The conversation should continue. And if they're not talking about their life, make sure you talk about yours. Because when you start telling them your secrets, your thoughts, your ways of dealing with conflict, your ways of, for example, standing up for yourself because your peer at work tried to force you to do something and you said, no, that's not right by my values. If you show them that you are doing the things that you want them to know, they will learn, but not because you're telling them, but because you're telling them a story about how you implemented those rules. And that is what they'll value most, because number one, you're opening up to them. Number two, they see that you walk the talk.
Yeah.
And number three, they will say, yeah, that's what happened to me too. Frank wanted me to do something and I didn't want to. I didn't know how to do that. And that is where they're reciprocating your openness. And you can say, so what'd you do? What was your decision? Ask them. Instead of scolding them and telling them what to do, ask them how they had done it. And if they say, I didn't do a good job, I did something. And then you can say, what's your opinion on your behavior? Would you do it again? Or do you think there's a better solution? Ask them, because most likely, if you've been present in their life for the past 13, 15, 16, 17 years, they know what is the right way. They don't always follow it. But if you ask them, is there anything that you would change or do differently if you had a chance? They will tell you exactly what you had been telling them for the past 15 years. Just give them a chance to be the ones that are telling you instead of you telling them.
Oh my God, this is genius.
Oh my goodness, I'm happy you like it.
I can listen to you over and over, nonstop about this topic. I can tell how passionate you are and the wisdom that you're sharing. It really likes light bulb moments popping up everywhere as I jot down things and as I absorb what you say. And it makes me feel not confident, but confident in a way that, wow, if I learned this one early on as a parent, I'm better prepared for that when that time comes or when that moment comes. And I think that's what I want our parents to take away from this conference, is to learn as much as you can. Educate yourself. This is part of our learning process, of our personal development as a parent, because that's why this conference is about. I want to learn as much as I can, so I can become the best parent I can be for my twins. So learning about these techniques, or I wouldn't, you can call it techniques, but learning about even just how you're dealing, or even just the words that you are using, that's really helpful. That is so invaluable. I wouldn't have thought that I will phrase it this way, just like what you've said. And imagine how wonderful that one is to the recipient, which is, let's say, your teenager, for example. Instead of barking at them, or, then the more you are closing the wall. So I just love this approach. And I would love to talk nonstop about this one, but I see that we are at the top of the hour here. So one last thing that I'm going to ask from you is, what will be your number one tip for parents? And you can pick and choose which area you want to give them advice with, but what is that number one tip that they can they can implement today after watching this session?
You know what? There are two, actually.
Okay.
First one is give yourself grace. Okay, no matter where you are, no matter if you're at the very beginning of your parenting journey because you just found out you were pregnant, or when you're, 6 feet deep into all of the crazy teenage, I'm moving out to college years. No matter where you are, give yourself grace, because you've done the best that you could, taking into the data that you have had with you throughout the years. If now you find out something different from my talk or anyone else's, please don't say, oh, I should have done it differently. No, because that is not going to change the past. If you ever learn something new, that new data, try to apply it now. And if your children call you up on it, said, what happened with you? Why are you changing your approach? It is not a shame to say, I'm learning to become a better parent. Or someone taught me something that got me thinking, I want to try a new approach. Maybe it will be more positive towards us and our relationship. Being open with your children, no matter the age they are, is going to give you guys an amazing relationship, and they'll know, oh, okay, so it's not only me that's learning at school, but mom's learning too, or dad's learning too. That's amazing. They're not perfect, and I don't have to be perfect either, but we're learning together. So when I say give yourself grace, that means be okay with your past decisions. And if they weren't perfect according to you now with the new data that you have, they were the best you could make in the past. Try to change them now with what information you have. And the second tip that I would give parents is don't overcomplicate things and just enjoy the simple things with your children. So very often we have parents who have a whole agenda and a to-do list. So my children have to know how to make the bed and how to do the dishwashers. They have to do their curriculum. They have to do their chores, their music, their soccer, their football, their baseball, their ballet, their gymnastic lessons, and all in one day. What? Like, don't overcomplicate things. Whenever the rule of the thumb that I would say with younger kids is do one thing. If you're doing an arts and craft at home, so painting, do that one thing and that's it. If you're taking them to soccer, then that is the one thing that you're doing today, and that's it. And the rest, let it be an easy flowing relationship. Because although they love soccer, they love ballet, they love dancing, singing, guitar, and tennis, if you are going to be a schedule pusher, they will stop loving these things. But if you will make these things a celebratory outing, so today is a special day. This is the one day a week we're going to play tennis together. Let's pack up our lunch boxes. Let's have fun. Come on, children, let's jump in the car. We're driving, having fun in the car, going to that tennis lesson, learning, even with mom and dad, even learning at the same time, or just sitting in the sidelines, waving. Then at the end, you talk about that tennis match. You dissect it at times. Oh my goodness, I saw that you hit, I don't know anything about tennis, but let's say you pick the forehand or the backhand or a curveball or whatever the situation is. Then they feel this is an important bonding activity, rather than chop, hurry up right now, put your shoes on if you don't get into the car, and so on and so forth. So you can actually see the emotions that can be evoked with the both ways of the way you're dealing with the situations. If you are a schedule pusher and you have too many things packed into your day for your children because it's fun, it won't be fun. But make the one thing fun, and then no matter what you're doing, even if you're playing with mud outside, it is going to be fun and a great memory that you're going to share with your kids.
Brilliant. All I can say is this is brilliant. So where can they learn more about what you do? Where can they further their education? This is one area that I really want to immerse myself. And I invite you, parents, to join me in this journey with the Malva. So let them know where they can go and connect with you and learn more about this approach that you just shared with us.
Oh, thank you so very much. So my name is Malva Gasowski, and the name of the company that I own is called Coaching Mother and All, because I'm a mother and all of the things in between. But at the same time, I help mothers and all the other people. So educators, parents, corporates, and so on and so forth. So Coaching Mother and All. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, my own website. That's fine. If you hashtag work with Malva, then most likely you will have my contact details there as well. Because I share a lot of content and I do a lot of things just like yourself that are for the parents in order to learn, to have maybe a reflection moment. So I love being friends with all of the parents that need my help now, or maybe just want to say hi. Please stop by.
All right, and I'll make sure to have those links down below this video, but I really encourage you, our parents who are watching, if you found this one valuable, which I did myself, truly.
Thank you.
I really encourage you and invite you to journey together, and let's learn more. Let's continue our learning with Malva, and I'll make sure to have those links down below this video. Malva, this has been truly an honor, and I learned a ton myself. And it's so comforting to hear this perspective, this approach from you, and your perspective about this one. It really gave me that path, and that inspiration, and that strength, and that hope. That wow, I can be the best parent I want to be for my parents, because I now have these tools. I now have this education. I now have this approach that I wanna follow. So thank you so much. It's been truly an honor.
Oh, Mary, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm very grateful to be part of your conference. I'm very happy to have had the possibility to speak to the parents. And you know what? Every single parent, Marie's doing a fantastic job bringing you experts in the field so that you can learn with her. So thank you very much for having me.